Okay, so I'm here with Brendan. Brendan, are you from the UK?
Yeah.
We're actually here in Cancun right now at Alex and Gal's Board of Expert Mastermind. And yesterday you were on the panel, and you're the last person to share, but you really piqued my interest in what you're doing with Facebook groups. But
Mhm.
first of all, what is it you do? Because it's unique.
Yeah, so we occupy a really tight niche. We help people to join the police, and once they're in the police, we help them get promoted.
And are you one of the only people in the world that do this?
I've not found anyone who does both. So it's such a tight niche that it doesn't really exist. So,
Now, before we get into the main topic, we had also had a previous discussion about how some of the police officers who are now part of your sales team have a very unique skill set that allows them to be great salespeople. Just quickly touch upon that.
yeah, so one of the things about being a police officer, especially about being a detective, is you become really good at reading the room and reading individuals. You've dealt with that many suspects and that many victims over the years that you can pick up on their nonverbal communication. You can pick up on when people really mean something or they don't mean it, and you get really good at asking really incisive questions. And you become a really good listener as well, which is really important, I think, for a salesperson. Not being a good talker, but being a really good listener.
That's awesome. So, we're talking about building teams, right? So, we're talking about how the team comes in. But again, if you're looking for salespeople, maybe police officers or ex-police officers might be somewhere to look. But
Yeah.
let's talk about what you share about Facebook groups. So, tell me, just give us an idea of what you're doing with Facebook groups, how you're growing them, and then how you're using virtual assistants to help you manage the groups.
Yeah, so as I've grown the business, even before I started growing the business, when it's just me, I operated a community through Facebook group. The Facebook group is like my incubator. It's where I can get people into a space where everyone's got a common interest. And I encourage people to post questions, answer questions, get involved. So the Facebook group, which is a free one to access, has over 24,000 members now, and that's taken about 7 years to build up. And it is a hard slog, but there's no magic bullet for that. But when you get to 24,000 and over 500 posts a week, someone needs to manage all of that. And it's not me anymore. I can't do that. It's almost like a full-time job. And that's why I felt as though I needed a VA. And the VA that we've got, she's absolutely awesome. She's got a background in education. She's actually a teacher. And I'm still so humbled actually that she gave up her career in education to come and work in another field of education to help other people to succeed in achieving their dreams to be a police officer. And so she's a really good people person, and she gets involved in the conversations, and everyone in the group knows that she's like the manager of the group, and she does an amazing job.
Awesome. We also talked about how Brendan has created kind of a hiring process, which I've actually learned some stuff from too. We have a whole hiring team in the Philippines, very experienced, like over a decade of experience. But I'm always looking at ways of tweaking our own hiring process to make sure that we end up with a pool of really vetted, trustable, qualified virtual assistants. Can you touch upon your hiring process?
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is make sure I got the right person. For example, my VA who helps organize me, I need someone who had super organizational skills, who's very process driven, very systems driven, very unlike me. So
Yeah,
someone who could challenge me.
yeah, it's so funny because I think someone in the room asked, hey, how many of you, this is a group of entrepreneurs, about there's about 30, 40 of us there. How many of you have ADHD or some form of it? I think every hand went
Every
up in
hand
the room.
went up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and so I think as someone who has ADHD, I'm naturally inclined to be chaotic and disorganized. But my superpower is creativity and problem solving, analyzing things and seeing gaps that other people just can't see. But also, I'm aware that I need to surround myself with people who are not like me. So the job ad actually mentioned things like being able to challenge me, being very systems orientated, very process driven. And so what I was looking for in responses to the ad was someone who was addressing those specific points, not someone who was sending me a generic CV or a generic application. Even things like, dear hiring manager. I've not got a hiring manager. So straight away rejection because I've not read my my request of them. So I only took people through to the next stage who were actually answering my questions and addressing the actual things that I needed. So it was clear to me that they put some time and effort into their application. And then I took them to the next stage. So this is a series of micro commitments. The next stage was to invite them to join the Facebook group and become familiar with it. And the only way to become familiar with it is to spend time in it, looking at the posts, looking at my weekly webinars, looking at my lives, looking at my reels. And then I asked them, can you come up with 3 ways you feel you'd be able to help me better organize what I do within the Facebook group and how I manage it and how I manage my potential clients. And so anyone who didn't do that, and you had to do it on video, anyone who didn't do that clearly couldn't follow instructions, so they were rejected as well. And so there were a few more other micro commitments I put them through, but they're all similar sort of steps to whittle it down to about 10 people who I interviewed. And the first question I asked every one of them is, so what does my business do? And if they've not researched it, I wasn't going to waste any more time on it. So there's actually 2 people who weren't quite sure. And I just thought, at this point, you should know my business better than me. And the person who I chose to be my VA, she was just amazing. She even went one step ahead and created some micro commitments that I didn't even ask for. Some new ways that she felt she could help me organize my life and my business. And she was just so stand out. And now I just don't know what I'd do without her. She is absolutely amazing.
That's amazing to hear. Something Annick shared, I think it's important for everybody to listen, if you're, especially if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, that we generally tend to be impatient, right? Like we want to do things like, we've got so many other things we've got to take care of in the day, right? When it comes to hiring, we'll often rush the hiring process. Sometimes we're going to hire somebody that may not be a good fit. We want to spend 15 minutes on an interview versus 30 minutes on an interview versus 40 minutes. So be aware of you being the entrepreneur or business owner, of your behavior, and you're rushing through the hiring process. Now, again, at the Epic Outsourcing, we have a hiring team over a decade of experience. We have a couple of people who sit in that team. So it's not just a one-person decision. We also have not as in-depth as you. We're going to actually, it's like funny, after we had a conversation yesterday, I created a Google document detailing your process, intertwining it with what we already have. Then I shared it with you.
Oh my goodness.
Not knowing, I mean, it wasn't not knowing, but I just shared it with the email that Brendan gave me. And the first person to go through the document was your VA, right?
Wow.
And she freaked out. She thought this was a hiring process that you were putting together to replace her, right?
Yeah.
So you have to calm her down, because it actually
Yeah.
wasn't. It was purely to basically, he was helping me improve our hiring process. And this is an example of someone who's not a client actually helping us improve our outsourcing process. I'm always learning from competitors, from other outsourcing experts, even from clients who have just done something that we haven't even thought about. Anyway, I appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah, no
Any
problem.
final thoughts? Anyone who's listening to this who is a police officer, or a charge, you're a police officer, and you want to advance your career, please get in touch with
The
us.
chances of that are very slim, but I'm just more than happy to help.
Yeah.
But a final message?
Yes.
Yeah, it is exactly what Bijos just reiterated there, in that you just take your time. It took me about a month to find the VA that was perfect. The person who came second, I didn't have a position for her, but I knew that as the business grew, I would. So I just made sure she kept in touch. Well, I asked her to keep in touch, and she did. So again, another series of micro commitments. I asked her to stay in the Facebook group and make observations when she could, and she did. And so 6 months later, I got to invite her onto the team part-time, and then within a couple of weeks, we'd already generated enough work for her to come on full-time. Both of them are amazing. Big up to Emily and Felmarie. They're both incredible. I don't know what I'd do without you. Yeah, but take your time. That's the thing I'd say. Take your time and don't act on instinct, act on a process.
Yeah, lovely. And look, hey, if you want help hiring a VA, we have a very unique no markup fee model, which means that you become a client, you're going to pay your VAs directly. We take care of the whole hiring process. And again, we have 2 team members with over a decade of experience, a team member that is expert in matching client needs with the right VA. We do skill-based, personality-based, obviously logistics-based as well. And let us see if we can help you grow your team remotely. Until then, much success. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.